Hey guys, I'm back for another video, and today I'm actually coming back for part 2 of a recording that I have for explaining all the exploits in Hypixel SkyBlock's history. Well, not necessarily all of them, but a large chunk of them. If you missed part 1, I would highly suggest you watch it by clicking on the card in the top right hand corner. And while you're here, you should subscribe. It would help me out a ton, and again, you can always unsubscribe if you hate me. But, I mean, chances are, come on, if you watch Hypixel SkyBlock videos, what are you doing not sub to ThirtyVirus? Anyways, ego virus moment. Let's get into those exploits. When the personal bank was added, you could actually deposit the coins that you had on you into the bank while in the dark auction. What this would do is you'd win the bid for the item in the dark auction, but it would not withdraw your coins. Yeah, this resulted in literally getting free dark auction items, but it was quickly patched after lasting only one dark auction. So literally only one lobby got to experience, well, one round of lobbies got to experience this. Another well-known exploit is the fire trial exploit. A few days after the park was added, it turns out there was a bug where if a player can survive the first hit of the trial, they won't take any further damage and would survive the whole thing. Many players took advantage of this to get their campfire badge to 30. I remember the day this happened. I decided not to do it because I was a legit player that never exploited. And then like a year later, there was an item added to the game called the Wither Cloak Sword, which actually allowed you to do the same thing even after the original bug was patched. And fun fact, that exploit is still something you can do now. And I guess I went back on my morals because I got to Fire Trial 30 using the Wither Cloak Sword. Rip me. I was at Fire Trial 29 already, to be fair. I just needed to get that one last trial done, or is it 2 last trials done? Anyways, I remember that one very fondly. This one's also pretty well known, having multiple videos made about it, and that's the Alpha Network Bazaar and Auction House glitch. So it turns out that when Hypixel ran its Alpha Network for testing dungeons, it would have its own bazaar and auction house, right? Well, it turns out it used the same API as the main server's bazaar and auction house. So there were some exploits that happened by accident where people were able to, use the NPC to get bundles of cash from the NPC, sell it to a merchant, and then just dump billions of coins into the bazaar on the test server, but then only for them to log into the main server and see those coins appear for them. It's very yeah, it was bad. It got a lot of people banned, but yeah, this was a ridiculous situation. I never would have thought that would happen, but it really goes to show you got to be careful when as a developer when you're copy pasting code, because another early game one was flying in hubs. So this is a minor bug, but in the days following the addition of magical mushroom soup, you could actually drink it and then fly on public islands, which is not possible to this day, but it's still really interesting. In the hour following the pet's update, you could also fly on public islands using the Phoenix pet. Another simple one is double drops from the Sea Emperor. It turns out if you use any weapon that has an explosive effect, for example, explosive bow, dreadlord sword, bonzo staff, the player can get double drops from Sea Emperors. This causes them to always drop 2 Emperor skulls, give double fishing XP, and give the player an increased chance of dropping a shredder or a flying fish pet. This also works on monsters of the deep, but since that mob doesn't drop anything valuable, it's less notable. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's still possible to this day. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I remember that one fondly. Fuming potato books, that's right. Back in the day, equipment collected Anvil uses whenever you were to apply an enchant to them. So it would increase the cost of enchantments and make things really annoying. Well, it turns out once fuming potato books were added, if you were to apply them to your gear, it would reduce the amount of Anvil uses that the item has. And then after a few months of this, it turns out that hot potato books could do the same thing as well. Before, I think a week later, they just removed the Anvil use system altogether. Nowadays, it doesn't matter how many times you enchant something, it's not going to increase the cost. Here's another one that a lot of people know about, and that's the Deep Caverns exploit. You can leap off the edge on the Deep Caverns island at a very specific spot and automatically discover all the sections of the Deep Caverns instantly. This is still not patched. Another simple exploit is ferocity, damaging Thorn multiple times with 1 bow shot. This one doesn't really require much explanation. Just equip a tiger pet with werewolf armor, shoot Thorn with the bow, and then you damage him twice. I'm pretty sure this one also has not been patched. Here's a weird one that was patched. You could prevent Livid's clones from spawning in dungeons by using the Leaping Sword or the Silk Edge Sword's ability on Livid just before the fight begins, and his clones would just not spawn. It's very strange. Also, another dungeons exploit, you can use traps to complete the Ice Path puzzle. So, not anymore, but back in the day, you could kill the silverfish with a placed trap, allowing the player to easily complete the puzzle. As of the patch, which I unfortunately learned, pushing the silverfish against the trap will just cause the puzzle to be failed by default. Yeah, I got trolled this way. My dungeons party told me to do it and then just failed the room. Another exploit is that back in the day, you could talk to, quote, the 3 weirdos. By clicking on each chest that the 3 weirdos have, you can actually tell which one is the correct one without even talking to the NPCs themselves. So yeah, obviously not a thing anymore. There's a bug right now that isn't that game breaking, but it is still possible right now, and that's a theoretical infinite amount of items placed on the auction house. By clicking on an item directly from your inventory in the auction house main menu, I think this is a quality of life feature, but it basically allows you to skip 2 menus. You just click on an item and boom, it lets you put an item in the auction house. But this, for some reason, unlike making an auction the regular way using the main button, if you're in the outermost menu, you click on an item, put up an auction, it bypasses the limit of how many items you can have on the AH at once. So it's not that game breaking, but I guess it gets around an annoying tendency for you to have too many items. You just put them all up in the auction house on like bin, for example, but you can't put them all up at once. I don't know. It's not that bad. I've done this one many times myself personally. Oh, this is a fun one. When the Dwarven Caverns came out, the Dwarven Mines update came out, they changed how mining fatigue worked in order to allow pickaxes to break with varying speeds beyond just haste. But when they did that, it temporarily opened the door to 2 really severe bugs, actually. The first one is not as severe, but for a brief time you could pick up the bedrock from private islands, which is hilarious because at the time the item had a description saying, if you have any information about how you got this item, please tell Jay of Armin instantly. And it like gave his Discord tag and everything, and the poor man got spammed by so many people, including me. Well, I didn't spam him, I just sent one message, and he made a joke on Twitter saying, noted, thanks. The more severe bug that came from the mining fatigue changes was the Mithril Minion infinite mining exploit. So for about 2 days, you could actually place down all Mithril minions on your island and then get any old pickaxe, and you can actually break the mithril blocks instantly on your private island, which sounds, you know, a little exploity, right? But the thing is, it gives you a ridiculous amount of mining XP, and since you theoretically could have 29 tier 11 mithril minions with foul flesh, you could have a constantly respawning layer of mithril, and it adds up really, really fast. Basically, people were able to get mining 50 in about a half an hour. Yeah, that was a yoicks. But, you know, that one got patched pretty soon after release, but yeah, it was it was pretty bad. There's also various bugs with the repelling candle. When a water bucket is placed, they're all patched by the way, so don't try it, but when a water bucket is placed on a repelling candle, the torch in the middle would be washed away, leaving only the candle's player head item. This could then be used to create many glitched items, including mob heads and even dragon heads, which are only visible at 1.9 plus, placeable command blocks and barriers. It's quite crazy. I would suggest watching TimeDio's video about rare unobtainable items in Hypixel SkyBlock, because this is one of the things he talks about. Also, there's another lobby crash exploit, which was really bad, where if you were to wash away the torch underneath a repelling candle and then place it back, it would crash the lobby, which is obviously very dangerous, and it's even more dangerous than most lobby crash exploits because it's so incredibly easy to do, and it's on a private island, so getting caught would be difficult. But yeah, like again, someone could duplicate millions and millions of coins by just having 100 million coins in their purse, depositing it into the bank, crashing their lobby, and then coming back only to find that they've duplicated the coins. It's yikes. Exploit that is, I think, still possible to this day is AFK farming with a pig pet. So there's a bunch of farms made around this design, and for some reason it hasn't been patched, which would suggest it's not that good of a method. But I could be wrong with this one, but I'm fairly certain it's not patched. But anyways, the way it works is that you would just have the pig pet walk around with you sitting on top of it while mining crops. I don't necessarily know why this hasn't exploded in popularity yet. Haven't done the research. It's a thing if you want to look it up. But anyway, yeah. Oh, here's a really recent one. The block zapper has the ability to remove a whole bunch of the same type of block, and this could be used with cobblestone generators to get really fast. Not only I don't think it gives you mining XP, but really fast cobblestone. So people have been using this to farm super compactors really fast. I don't know if it really counts as an exploit because I don't know, it doesn't seem as exploity as the rest of the items on this list, but it's still worth noting, I guess. Here's another one. The cat pet. This is insane. The cat pet used to actually be profitable to buy from the fearmonger and then sell at George. Yeah, so apparently the George NPC, which historically has given terrible pricing on every pet in the game basically, for some reason was only reasonable when it came to cat pets. But anyway, the cost of candy turned out to be less than the amount of money you'd get back from George, so people made it a money-making method to collect as much candy as they can, buy a cat pet, and instantly sell it to George. This one went on for months because no one knew about it, and the few people that did it exploited to get millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of coins. So that was a yikes. Obviously it's patched now, but oh, and this is an OG one. Shout out to you if you remember this happening. This happened to me personally. For a short time, you could get Sugar Rush from the enchantment table before it was available in the Fearmonger shop just after the Spooky Festival was added to the game. So I have footage somewhere in the archives of me getting Sugar Rush from the enchantment table. That's crazy. And that was also apparently the same case with Rejuvenate when that came out. We all know this one. There used to be an exploit where when getting teleported into the floor 7 boss room, if you were jumping around with tarantula boots and were midair as you got warped in, then it would cause you to have infinite flight in the floor 7 boss fight, which of course is now patched. There's another one that has a lot of history around it, and that's the Wither Skelly pet and Golem pet. So for fun, Time Dio killed me with a Golem pet using an exploit. Apparently when the pet was new, it was kind of buggy. You could use the ability to just kill other players, but in a less funny way. I remember a player named Mindtrix back in the day, ex-head of First Place Frags, actually abused this one pretty badly. So what you could do is you could kill players with the Wither Skeleton pet ability. So yeah, and it would remove coins from their purse, get rid of their potion effects, all that. And this was before cookies, so like yikes. But anyways, yeah, you could slaughter an entire lobby with a Wither Skelly pet. That was a scary day to be on SkyBlock, to be honest. Oh, here's another one that do with mind tricks. Spooky fishing in dungeons. So it turns out if you were to enter a dungeon during a spooky festival and then the spooky festival ends, you could still fish up spooky mobs. This was abused by a lot of players to spend like 5-6 hours plus in a dungeon fishing up spooky mobs and profiting massively from the increased amount of fishing XP and the drops. But yeah, this one was exploited to the ground before it was patched. Wow, these are really game breaking. Speaking of First Place Frags again, overflow experience. So there used to be a bug back in the day when you got over 1,000 levels of experience. Any XP that you gained beyond that would be massively bugged. So the way it works is that once you got 1,000 XP levels, any additional XP that you add will default to 1 level per orb. So what this did is you could just take regular experience bottles, get 1,000 levels, but then you splash 1 experience orb and then you suddenly have like 30 or 40 more levels consistently, and it never changes how frequently you get the levels. So what people did is they would get thousands of levels of experience, and then they would get enchanting 50 for free in 30 minutes. So, whew. Oh, here's a really obscure one. For one Jerry Festival in early 2019, you could kill players by throwing snowballs. I don't know how or why. This one was sent to me by the guild. I don't know how they found this. This video literally only has like 30 views. But like, bruh. Here's one that I remember fondly. Pearl spamming. Especially with the explosive bow. So, back... not even that long ago, I'd say half a year. Anyways, you could throw a pearl in the air, and then it spawns an enderman on the end island. And if you throw multiple pearls, then you'll die. But you'll respawn and then immediately get teleported back to where you died because of the pearl that you threw. Now what this did is it would spawn infinite endermen. And what people would do is they would pay, say, 5 players to do this at the same time. And then they would bring out an explosive bow, and then they would sword swap it with a raider's axe to make a whole bunch of money from scavenger. And this was one that I used for a long time. I desperately wanted to get a legendary enderman pet because back then summoning eyes were still meta. But yeah, it was kind of crazy. It would lag lobbies, almost get to the point where it could crash lobbies, which is probably another reason why it was removed. At some point recently, they made it so that if you were to die, any thrown pearls that you had would just get deleted. So, rip. All right, here we are at the finish line, the final exploit, and that is pet stacking. This one makes a lot of people sad because they thought it was going to be a permanent feature of the game, but it's not. Anyways, in one of the most recent updates as of recording this video, they added a system where you can have pet rules, which basically allow you to automate the process of swapping out your pets depending on what grind you're doing. So you could theoretically have a pet swap, let's say 100 times a second when you're farming, and then get the benefits of both pets. So yeah, this was a thing. So what people would do is they would make it so that when you gain experience, it would swap to elephant pet, which gives you double drops, but then once you pick up drops, it would swap to the rabbit pet, which gives you more experience. So you'd get the double drops from the elephant and the XP from the rabbit. And this also worked for mining with the mithril golem and silverfish pets. It also worked for foraging with the ocelot and the monkey pet, but it was promptly patched and they added a 2-tick limit to how frequently pets can swap, leading to these methods no longer working. But there's still some minor versions of it that you can do to this day. For example, you can make it so that when you throw a fishing line out, that you can swap to a squid pet to get XP in increased amounts, I believe, and then swap to dolphin once you kill a mob. I don't remember the exact specifics, but fishing is slow enough that there's more than 2 ticks that pass between casting a line and killing something. But yeah, there you go. That's 40 freaking minutes of recording, and now that I'm looking at it, this is gonna get split into 2 videos. So welcome to the end of part 2 of of the exploits in Hypixel SkyBlock video. So anyways, leave a like down below if you enjoyed this video, and make sure to comment down below if I missed any. Maybe I'll make another updated video on exploits from the past of Hypixel SkyBlock. That would be greatly appreciated if you could do that. And also, again, subscribe if you haven't already. That would help me out a ton. Well, anyways, I guess that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.